Unqualified Critics here, and today I'm reviewing the UScooters GT Sport. And this really, if you look at the spec sheet, is kind of the ultimate ultra portable scooter. And it's definitely in that 25 mile per hour scooter range that's become the standard for a high-end portable scooter. But this does go a step further with 28 miles per hour. Let's take a look and see how this stacks up. Want to give you some early first thoughts on this scooter. First off, I know it's already been reviewed. I've not watched those reviews. I got a hold of this scooter late, so if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button. I'm gonna need the help because this is coming a little late. Regardless, thanks for being here. This is the GTS model. I previously reviewed the 2020 GT model. I love that scooter. Watch that review if you haven't yet, because this is extremely similar. I mean, if you take a look at it, it just looks very similar. If you get around here, over by the charging port, you can see you get the upgraded molding. It's not just flat with a decal, but there's actually some dimension here. The styling's improved. The foot deck itself, to me, looks a little more like a toy, a little less serious. That's the one thing where I think they took a step backward. But look, it's solid rubber. It's not going anywhere. It's not like the old adhesive strip product that they used to use. There's no chirp. So if you heard that, there's an older UScooter in the background, and that thing chirps every time you turn it on. This does not chirp. And thank God, because I hate that chirp. It reminds me of the smoke alarm. The braking is improved, the electronic braking, that is. It's quicker. It's also a little less smooth. So when you get on this for the first time, be careful. The first few times, if you're at full speed, you slam on that electronic brake. Just be aware that it's so strong that you'll feel it move a little, almost as if you were using a frictional brake. The drum brake is nice. They did a really good job. You're coming a little closer. They did a really good job with this cord, getting it out of the way. In the past, when you would raise and lower the stem, the cord would get caught on this every time in the old GT model. So they've tied that up here and twisted it around to where this piece does not get stuck. Minor stuff, but that's what I mean. This is an incremental upgrade, to be sure, but they already had such a good foundation with a really nice scooter. It's fast, it's light, it's portable. Really nice scooter, really happy with it. It feels performant, but be careful on it because it's quietly kind of a beast. So let's take it out, get a few more miles on it, and I'll give you my final thoughts.
Exercise. Gotta wear out.
Basically, we're looking at 700 watts of peak power. This is a 28 mile per hour scooter. So it's kind of that 25 mile per hour category still. It's not completely worlds apart. But it's just that little extra plus, couple of extra miles an hour over your typical 25 mile an hour scooter, even though the weight is similar. It touts a Samsung 10.5 amp hour 48 volt battery. I believe previous models used LG, but these ET Wow scooters famously always have that brand name battery cell. A revamped drum brake, a purported range of 31 miles, suspension, airless tires, and a 3-point folding system with included carrying handle. I won't spend a ton of time on that 3-point folding system. It's sort of what UScooters are known for, but it's great because this thing collapses down to be tiny. Generally, that's not any different from previous UScooters. A couple tiny differences, some for better, some for worse, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. The suspension is very nice. I actually don't know if this is different from previous generations, but it feels smoother. My 2020 UScooters GT also had a nice suspension, but it just was a little bit stiff. It almost felt like a boot that hadn't been broken in yet. This feels smoother, and the tires, I believe, are basically the same. So yeah, the design, there's not that much to say. It's a really good design, and if you've ridden the UScooters before, you know what you're in for. All right, so let's talk about folding and unfolding, even though I said I'm not going to say that much about it. There actually are a few points here. So one is you've got this red, I think this is like a solid aluminum, but solid metal lever, and you're going to use your foot there to notch that lever down and collapse the scooter. Now, a couple years ago, that was a challenge. They had an old design where you had to push forward on the handlebars and push down on this lever at the same time. It was awkward. That has been fixed. It was fixed a couple years ago. It's fixed again here. So folding and unfolding, great. As far as getting the handlebars lifted up, so getting that tiller extended so you can actually ride the scooter, well, that is a little different story. It's pretty stiff. It actually takes some strength to get this thing pushed up and down, and that's after you've got the button disengaged. Clicking that button, well, click's not the right word, but pushing in on that button itself is pretty tough, and I don't normally struggle with that with these scooters. Now let's take a look at the braking test. So coming to a stop is only half the story. The other half is speed. I clocked exactly 25 miles per hour using my phone's GPS, only 1 mile per hour lower than the advertised speed, despite my riding weight of about 210 pounds. So normally I'm not going to hit that top speed, but here, in fact, I basically do. Now here you can see I'm riding up a fairly steep hill, first with the 2020 Booster V and now with the GTS. Let's take a look at the difference in time it takes to climb this hill. So let's talk about range. For some of you, the most important part of an electronic scooter review. My real world test on my initial charge gave me 12 miles. Now, I'm 210, 212, and I'm riding on some hills, nothing crazy, but some hills. I used Map My Ride for part of the testing, so you could see the elevation change for reference, although this was not my entire route, but I believe this was, these were the worst of the hills. I'm disappointed in the 12-mile range, but it's worth noting I only got 11 miles in my Booster V review, and my girlfriend gets way more range than I do. I'm just hard on scooters. I weigh a little more than your average rider. I ride, pretty much all out as much as I can. Of course, I slow down when I need to, but I'm really trying to ride it at top speed, and so I'm never going to hit that advertised range. I'm not range maxing these things. Still, I just really want someday to get a scooter that will get me a real world 20 miles.
But it is not this day.
But here, well, 12 miles is what I got. The electronic display is unchanged from previous UScooters models. They still don't have the automatic headlight sensor they had a couple years ago. I think they phased that out probably for cost reasons. I'm not really sure. But what is nice here is that the battery meter is consistent. If you guys have ridden electronic scooters before, you know about when they bounce around. You're riding, you're at 40%, you come to a stop, you stand there for a minute, and next thing you know, you're at 50, 60%. It's frustrating, and of course, it makes it difficult to know how much juice you have left. Here, I didn't see any of that. The battery meter just simply decreased gradually, smoothly over time until I got to 0%. Overall, this is another excellent scooter from UScooters. If you have past year's GT models, I mentioned if I would say if you should upgrade, there's not much different here. This truly is an incremental upgrade. So I think if you've got the previous GT and it's working great for you, ride that thing a little longer, get the miles out of it that you can, and when you need to upgrade, this is going to be a great option. But I don't really see buying it just to replace last year's model as meaning much. But if you're coming from a slower model from this brand or another brand of ultralight, one of the lower tiers like the Booster V, I mean, that's a great scooter, but this is going to be a big step up from that. You're going to get better acceleration, obviously a faster top speed, a little bit better range as well, which is crazy if you're going faster and getting more speed and just adding a very small bit of weight. It's also more comfortable because it's got that nice long foot deck. I mention that a lot, but I really think in an ultra portable scooter, being able to ride it long distances comfortably is a huge win-win. I've got a coupon code below and an affiliate link, so if you decide to buy, use that link to show support for the channel, save yourself a few bucks. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about these scooters? Do you plan to upgrade? Do you have a previous model? Or maybe this is your first entry. This might seem like overkill for a first electric scooter, But as someone who's been riding a few years, I could absolutely see as an adult starting out on this. You wouldn't have to start at a scooter this nice by any means, but the range that you're going to get incrementally over the lesser models, the comfort is great. The speed, if it scares you, it does have a speed limiter that you can use. I haven't really messed with that, but that feature does exist, so you can kind of ease yourself into that 28 miles per hour. But once you get going that fast, you really do not want to get back to a 15, 20 mile an hour scooter. And that extra couple over the standard 25 mile an hour scooters is a nice touch, and I think it's well worth the money. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think below, and I'll talk to you soon.